So today we are going to see the live sessions of the environmental permit of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. How the environmental permit process and how the overall the process of environmental permit to get, and the information you must know the environmental permit system, how it works in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In most of the Gulf countries, the system, the basics are same, but the actions and the process may be different. So when you are seeing this environmental permit, you will be familiar for the environmental knowledge and environmental permit and how to maintain, then what are the activities you can trace, and you can monitor how the system going on, everything we will see. Okay, so thanks for participating the live session of environmental permit of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The environmental permit is always essential for all the countries, especially in the Middle East and all. So the natural resources, ecosystem, always the environmental speaks about the natural resources and saving the energy resources and saving the environmental conditions as it is. So that is the main area of the environmental ministries. So here the environmental permit of the Saudi Arabia, the main is the National Center for Environmental Protection, NCEC. So the environmental protection, here we are talking about the NCEC, that is National Center Environmental Council. So National Center for Environmental Council is the NCEC. There the environmental monitoring, pollution monitoring, environmental impact assessments and EAA monitoring, EAA approval, these all the things done by this NCEC. So National Center for Environmental Council. So they are only giving the environmental permit, that is EP. So environmental protection standards they are following. They have limits are there, wastewater limits, and then pollution limits of air, water, land, soil, and also they have various environmental monitoring systems are there, and then based on the industrial applications, they are providing the environmental permit. Without the environmental permit, the activities projects and activities not allowed to go through. So that is the main criteria in this. So the environment means what all the biosystem. So that will be the environment. So what are the system around you is the environment. Industrial means industry around the environment, air, water, land, soil is their environment. So when you are using the natural resources, when you are spoiling the environment, that is the pollution activities. So to protect the Environment Council for Environmental Center for Environmental Counseling is the very, very important to proceed for any kind of environmental permits. Okay, what is the purpose for this environmental permit? Here to ensure all projects meet NCEC, that is National Center for Environmental Council. So here there are standards are there for air, water, land, soil, noise, wastewaters, water and wastewater. These all standards are there. Based standards, you have to follow the limits. So to purposely all projects meet the NCEC standards. Then confirm steps to minimize pollutions, prevent or minimize the pollution. Any kind of pollution you have to stop it. That's why the permit needs to be given. So that it's a guaranteeing the environmental permit, guaranteeing the protecting the natural resources and public health. For public health and natural resources, it's a protecting the environmental permit. When they are giving the environmental permit, normally it speaks about to follow the NCEC limits and then confirm to minimize the pollution or prevent the pollution. Then it's a guaranteeing the following the public health and the natural resources of Saudi Arabia. So this is their main purpose. Then what are the activities they are doing? That is this NCEC is a issuing authority of environmental permit. Okay. Then they review what are the activities they are doing means environmental impact assessments, EIA. So they always when you are submitting the EIA report, they will review and give the recommendations and finally they will give the approval for EIA. So that is their purpose. Then issuing and reviewing environmental permit. So these kind of permits they give for the projects like all major projects, all major constructions, they give environmental permit. Then all activities, projects required environmental permit. Okay, what kind of the typical process means? The typical process of this NCEC So that is the Saudi Arabia's major center. They are issuing the environmental permit. So in that case, what they will do? They will first appoint an approved environmental consultant. They will ask major all projects required this NCEC approved environmental consultants needs to be appointed for oil and gas or major projects. So environmental consultant must be there and then prepare environmental documents. So before proceeding any kind of projects or construction activities, you must have environmental documents for proceeding the operations or any kind of constructions. So that means you have to submit the EIA, you have to submit the environmental baseline studies or baseline informations. So you must have an environmental impact assessment document and the environmental baseline documents also you have to be provided to this environmental. For environmental permit, you have to give these all kinds of documents to the NCEC. So they are asking the environmental impact assessment report, environmental baseline studies they are asking. So the baseline means what baseline they are asking? Air, water, land, soil, noise, wastewater. These all standards they are asking. That is the environmental baseline study. So these are the things normally they will ask for the typical process of environmental permit. Then here these are the simple way of special thing. So when this system required means quarries and any kind of mobile unit quarries required environmental permit, and also the manufacturing industrial plants also required this environmental permit. Construction activities using the water, wastewater, which all construction industries emitting the wastewater, there the environmental permit is required. So these are the areas normally the environmental permit required, and also water treatment plants, recycling plants, water treatment plant and recycling plants also required environmental permit. So where are these environmental permit requirements? Quarries, mobile units also required environmental permit. Then industrial and manufacturing plants required environmental permit, and construction activities which are emitting the more wastewater required environmental permit. And the final thing is the whatever wastewater treatment plant or water treatment plant recycling units or recycling plant required the environmental permit. These are the process. These are the industries definitely required before proceeding the any activities. They must submit the environmental permit. Apply for environmental permit and get the environmental permit, and that environmental permit is a valid document to proceed any activities. That's very important to know it. So the environmental permit, wherever those who are working in the Saudi Arabian kingdom, they have to get the environmental permit if the construction major project emitting the wastewater means they have to get the environmental permit. The manufacturing plants, they have to get the environmental permit. Then recycling units, they have to get the environmental permit. Water treatment plants, they have to get the environmental permit. And all kinds of quarry units, and then the plants, the companies which is constructions which are all emitting more pollutions required environmental permit, especially the wastewater emitting. In that case, they have to give the environment, they have to apply for environmental permit and get the environmental permit. So these are the industries required. Then what is the validity for compliance of the environmental? How many days it's valid, this environmental permit? The 3 to 5 years valid for the environmental permit. Those who are applying for the environmental permit, and then once they got the environmental permit means 3 to 5 years they can use the environmental permit to proceed their construction activity, manufacturing activity, and whatever activities they got it for that environmental permit, they can valid 3 to 5 years. Then this NCEC, that is National Center Environmental Council, they always follow the all conditions. So when you are having the environmental permit, you have to follow the NCEC conditions. What all conditions they mentioned when they are giving the environmental permit, they will give the some conditions. So you have to follow that conditions. It's a validity 3 to 5 years, and you have to follow the conditions. Then the permit conditions, and also the NCEC always required periodic monitoring reports. The periodic monitoring reports from whom? From the concerned construction company or manufacturing company, whoever got the environmental permit, they must submit periodic monitoring report to the NCEC. That's a must. So the environmental permit is not a simple one. It's always be things about the environmental pollutions, wastewater standards. If you are emitting the wastewater above the NCEC standard, it's a violence. Okay? Then when you are emitting the air emission gases, you are above the limit of NCEC, means it's a punishable offense or it's a penalty offenses. The company, the NCEC will take the necessary action against the company. So when you started to follow the environmental permit, means then you are agreeing that you are following the all permit conditions, and you have to give the periodic reports, monitoring reports. In case of air monitoring, means ambient air quality monitoring report you have to submit. In case of water, means wastewater test report, analysis report you have to periodically send to the NCEC. Then when you have a waste generation, means how you are handling the waste, how much quantity you have, these reports you have to send it to them, and what way you are disposing the hazardous waste, how much quantity hazardous waste is there, that quantity of liquid and solid you have to send the report to the NCEC. So it's a must to have the reports when you have the environmental permit. The environmental permit is always the major part of any kind of industries in Saudi Arabian Kingdom, especially major construction industries, oil and gas industries, and manufacturing industries, water treatment plants, recycling units, and then quarries, mobile quarries, drilling industries. These all the industries comes under it. So wherever the industries they are releasing the wastewater, that wastewater is always a problem for the soil. So when it's when wastewater emitted, then they have to get the environmental permit. That environmental permit as per the conditions here mentioned. Here you see. So the purpose is to make an environmental, to save the environment, to save the fuel. So for environmental permit, they have to get the, so the companies 3 to 5 years validity is there for this environmental permit for Saudi Arabian Kingdom. So that's given by NCEC, National Center for Environmental Council. So then they ask them follow the industries who got the environmental permit, all conditions they have to follow. Then what will be the third part is the periodically submit monitoring reports to the NCEC. So when you are getting environmental permit, these are the conditions. You have to follow all their conditions. Conditions means they should this much water you can use, this much emit only you can use. Through this consultant only you can to use it. And then you have some control measures through the EIAs, environmental impact assessments. The National Council NCEC gave some directions through the EIA. So all the direction they given environmental permit. In that permit, you have to follow the conditions. For the NCEC given conditions, that condition you have to follow. Then periodically submit the report to the NCEC about the environmental, soil, water, land, noise, wastewater generations, then hazardous waste, how much quantity, and then how much water you are using, how much water you are emitting, then COD, BOD of wastewater, and then its water parameters of wastewaters and parameters of treated wastewater. That also you have to submit, whether within the conditions. So COD and BOD are within the limits or not. That will be monitored by the NCEC. So when you are going for an environmental permit, you must have an environmental knowledge. When you have the environmental knowledge means how much quantity of water you are using, how much water you are disposing, and then what are the power generations and how the power used, what are the power conservation methods you are using, then how the company following the environmental rules and regulations, and in case of air pollution what they are doing, in case of noise pollution what you are doing. So this all has to be give the document to the NCEC. Then based on the document only they will give the environmental permit. That permit is valid for the 3 to 5 years with conditions only. Anytime this environmental permit may be revoked or withdrawn. So the revoke means maybe they withdraw because of the company not following the environmental standards as per the NCEC standards. They are not following. So that's why they will revoke the certificates. So that's why they have to ask the periodic submission of environmental systems. What all system you have, that periodic monitoring report you have to submit to the NCEC for knowing the status. So that analyzing and monitoring agents also approved by the NCEC. So once the approved NCEC only you have to allow for them to do the monitoring analysis for your industry. So that the agents must be approved by the NCEC. So they will give the report to you. Then that report you are submitting to the NCEC. So that report is always speaks about whether the environmental permit is valid or not. But initially they are giving 3 to 5 years. But you have to follow the environmental conditions. You have to follow the periodic analysis report. That report how you are submitting. That's a question. So this is what the environmental permit about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So what is the purpose? Then what are the issues they will see? And then what are the manufacturing area? Then what is the legality and the compliances? And then in case of environmental permit, what will be the conditions? These are all the things we have seen. So when you are working in a construction site, when you are working in a manufacturing industry, or when you are working in any kind of oil and gas units, it's all NCEC required to process any kind of operations. You have to get the environmental permit. That environmental permit, you have to be part in that. So for that, you have to give the environmental baseline reports or EAA report to the concerned NCEC. Then once they will go through and finally give the environmental permit report. So that permit only give the clearance for you to go ahead with the projects. So I hope you understand the environmental permit and NCEC guidelines, how it process and what way you can get it and what will be the validity, what are the conditions. So thanks for monitoring this live sessions of the environmental permit, and thanks again for those who are joined live. Whatever questions you have, you just comment it in the comment section. I will try to answer my best. Subscribe this channel in case you didn't subscribe before. So you will get lot of HSE, environmental, health, safety informations, and worldwide what all going on in health and environmental sites, and all kinds of information. You regularly get updates. Subscribe it, like it, and share it. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.